crawlies in the grass with that, and 1 gallon would do like around your building probably like 5 times. That shit goes hard. That's how you get rid of I literally just ordered a whole gallon into my ag store, and they had ordered it special for me. But it'll be here next week, and I'm about to do my whole fucking yard again. But when I do it, it'll last all the way until next spring. Promethazine, something like that. Promethazine. Yeah, I always think I put the R in front of it when I do it wrong in my head. So it's like per, not pro, but promethazine. But it's a shit for getting rid of like anything that creepy crawlies in your grass. Ants, spiders, ticks, fleas, sand gnats, any of that shit. It just kills them all. And then you need to go. They have these little bombs that you can buy. They're like, you know what a bath bomb is?
Mm-hmm.
They make these bath bomb little things that you can buy, and you can find like the standing water that's around you, where the mosquitoes or like the larvae are doing their thing and popping out of the water. You throw these little bath bombs in. They're environmentally friendly. You're not hurting the environment at all. And you throw them in every 15 feet or so, and it puts like an oil slick on top of the water that suffocates the mosquito larvae. And that'll cut down on your mosquitoes.
Wait, what did you say?
It's an insecticide that's in a bath bomb.
Oh, I see.
And you go find it around, go walk around your building, and wherever there's standing water, if there's a bucket that has water in it, kick it over and turn it upside down. You don't want standing water.
Dude, the fucking garden, this is my complaint, is the fucking garden has all these rainwater buckets, and they just have giant fucking huge rainwater buckets. They use to water the garden, but people who live here gotta fucking deal with all their fucking bugs. I hate these people, but I don't really hate them, but it's like I realize it's like I could get angry about anything. The only thing is you just can't, when you go outside, you gotta be quick, because man, they are everywhere. And if you leave your door open, they get in the house, and man, I had a leak in the pipes, and I had to call a plumber. And there was this fucking mosquito. It was like an angel mosquito, one of those really big ones, very mature. And this guy had a blowtorch. He fucking burned that angel. It fucking for a second, it was on fire flying and just turned into ashes. Girl gotta eat, dog. It's Sunday night, man. It's fucking the feeling is right.
I got leftovers.
Feeling's right. And we'll invite her over for the leftovers and for a little extra protein sauce.
She doubles my knob enough that I don't want it on a regular basis.
Yeah.
She's trying to make it a regular basis by doing that. Oh, like I was here Wednesday. Oh, I was here Thursday. Oh, I was here Saturday. Oh, I was here Sunday. Nah, bitch. Nah, you were here Wednesday. You gave me a fucking knob. You try to get here on Thursday. You try to get here on Saturday. You try to get here on Sunday. I ain't trying to hear that shit. You slob my knob. I'm good. I'll talk to you next week. I ain't thirsty, man. These bitches are crazy. So. It's only gonna get worse from here when it comes to this weather. I know you're younger than me, but I'm telling you, like they get thirstier and thirstier, and you feel more like the Sahara every day.
Well, I don't know, being younger than you doesn't mean that I'm also not withdrawn, meaning that I'm not going to go out of my way anymore, to like pursue a woman. I mean, maybe if she's super hot and she really likes me, but most of these girls are just basically like using men, either for sex or economics, which is free food.
And around here it's economics.
Yeah, I'm just saying the fat, ugly ones.
But the thing is, they'll throw their economics at me at the beginning to get me enticed
Hmm.
in order for me to become like, the stepdad.
It's so fucked up. That's basically. I was in a clown house room and somebody was like, if I marry my girlfriend and she has two kids and I raise those kids, am I a beta? Everybody was like, yeah, you the beta.
Yep.
You the shrimp. Like she's using you, she's eating you, like she's parasiting you, vampiring you. And he's like, fuck, I don't want to be a beta.
But the only reason my dad wasn't a beta when he adopted me when I was 14 was because he already had two daughters and a son from another woman and then married my mom when he adopted me. So, and my mom only had me. So, he took me under his wing because he already had three other children, but I was the one, like all his other kids loved him because he had a lot of money. And I like the fact that he would throw a baseball with me in the backyard. So he and I had a much more wholesome relationship compared to his own natural kids. And he even left me a note that said, like, so much, all my kids always wanted stuff from me, and all you wanted from me was my time. And I love you for that. That was like one of the last things I ever heard.
Yeah, my dad worked for this really wealthy guy, like extraordinarily wealthy, and my dad said he was very lonely, very depressed. Spent all his time with his dogs because he didn't want to spend any time with his kids, who only wanted to see him if he was going to pay him to see him. So it was he was like totally isolated. Yeah.
It's like that though, because I grew up poor. They grew up with their dad having already been in the military. My sister Joanna was born on foot for good, and when he was a combat medic in the first cavalry, like he always, had money. He was a combat nurse after that, and then he got out of that and he went to college and he got his anesthesia degree. So he was a nurse anesthetist. And you're talking $250,000 a year in 1990.
That's a lot of money.
Like, that's a lot of money back then.
That's like 1.5 million probably.
No, I mean, I'm talking net, after taxes. I'm not talking gross.
No, I'm talking about in terms of inflation. In 1990, 100,000 today would be worth like fucking 800,000.
Almost a million, yeah.
Yeah.
So a quarter million back then would be worth almost 2 million, or probably about 2 million today.
Especially in Georgia, your money goes a little bit further in the south.
No, this is in Florida back then.
Oh, I see. Where in Florida was it?
I grew up in Florida. I was born in Georgia. My mom moved to Florida to get away from my dad.
Oh, I see.
Kitover, Florida.
I don't know. Is it Gulf Coast or?
No, it's Space Coast.
Oh, nice.
You know Space Coast?
I mean, is that where they launched the spaceships or something?
Yep.
What, the Kennedy
Space Center.
Yeah. What is that, Pensacola?
No, that's in the Panhandle.
Oh. I don't know.
But you know where Cocoa Beach, I Dream of Jeannie, East Coast, Central Florida.
Yeah.
Cape Canaveral.
I mean, I've never been there, so I don't know it, but.
Well, it's 108. Alright, so this is how it works. If you drive down I-95 and you get into Florida, from Georgia going south towards Miami, the first big city you're going to pass is going to be Jacksonville. That's exit 360, and it's 360 miles from the bottom of I-95. And then you'll be at like exit 240 will be Daytona Beach. Exit 180 will be Melbourne, which is Brevard County, or where the space shuttle goes up at. And down 180 miles south of that, you'll end up in Miami at the end of I-95. So 0 is Miami, 360 is Jacksonville, and then I lived at 180. If that makes sense when you think about Florida from top to bottom. That's where I was at when I was like, at my mom's house when she was passing away. We were on Instagram before I got on Clubhouse.
Oh, I see. You sure? I thought you were at your house in Georgia.
No, I was at my mom's house when she died.
Oh.
That's why her lawyer, called me and said that I was illegally being at her house.
You were squatting. The estate said you were squatting at your mom's house. That's how shit goes, isn't it crazy? Life's cruel.
Yeah, and the will hadn't even been read yet.
Yeah, that's how shit goes down.
He called the sheriff's on me saying I was squatting.
Yep. It's nasty,
and I was
man.
like, how? I'm like, how?
He called because somebody in the family told his ass to call.
Oh yeah, I know exactly who did. And I killed. Never mind.
Check all the calls coming in and out of the house. If anybody sets up that meeting with Bartzini, he's the traitor.
Do you think I'm like a person that would let shit slide?
I don't know. Just depends on, who fucked up.
Well, it depends on how much I really loved you before you fucking did something wrong. If I didn't love you, it'd be wrong. Heaven help you. But, it was never about that. On meditations are definitely on another level when they were effective on past. Because, the sad thing is that where I told you I wasn't allowed to be at my mom's house, my mom hadn't even died yet. She was in the hospital. I was the one that picked her up off the toilet. Well, I didn't pick her off the ground because she had been going through chemo, and she tried to get from her bed into her bathroom to go use the bathroom in the middle of the night because she was not being able to do it okay. And then she would fall down halfway between her bed to the bathroom. And I picked her up twice that night, and then got her off the toilet, and then I got her cleaned up, and I'm having to wipe my mom's, private stuff to make her clean, and got her cleaned up and got her back in bed. She did that twice. The third time she did it, she hit the ground and slapped her nose on the tile in her bathroom, and she told me to call the ambulance, and that was the last thing that my mom really ever said.
Wow.
Because I called the ambulance and I got her picked up and cleaned up, and they showed up and I got her on the gurney and they put her on the ambulance, and from that point on she never had coherent awakenings ever again in the hospital. And, life goes on, man. I mean, I talk a lot, but I think a lot of my, you say the more you talk, the further away from the truth you get, but I think the more I talk, the closer to the truth I'm getting because I'm ignoring certain parts of the truth to be able to fit my own,
I know, but look, you came out of your mother. So your mom had her great journey. You're the product of that great journey. So I mean, you are the embodiment of your mother's spirit. That's the lady. That's the Lady Mary. Your mother's is.
But the lawyer that controls the trust,
Mm-hmm.
the trustee, I'm the trustor. He's the one that was calling the cops on me because I was at my mom's house because she brought me down before she passed away. At the very end, and she wanted to say goodbye, but this is the dude that was fucking with me. He's still the trustee of my account. And since 2001, September, it'll be 3 years that he's been the trustee of that account. He's paid himself no less than $25,000 a year out of the trust to be the trustee.
Yeah, I know. This shit's crazy, isn't it? My mom.
Waiting for a dog to die.
Wow. My mom and her sisters couldn't stand their mother anymore, so they put her in a guardianship, and it was mismanaged by this stupid pupa who worked for the state. And then they all regretted it because the stupid pupa put all my grandmother's money, like $1 million, in some kind of mutual fund that dropped like 60%. So all the sisters were like, "You fucking dumb bitch! You cost me $200,000." The other sister's like, "You dumb bitch! You cost me 200." Then the other dumb bitch sister was like, "You dumb bitch! You cost me 200." So then finally they all got together, hired a new attorney, sued the guardianship, and got control of the estate again. But by then the stock market had recovered, and it was all the money was restored. But then they each spent like 25,000 on the lawyer, so they. In the end, all they ended up doing was costing themselves $25,000 and years of frustration. Oh, folly of man.
Well, I mean, that's why I don't care about my mom's dog. I know my aunt and uncle have it. I know that they're in my mom's house that my mom bought for me. She accepted me with that in like 2017. She's like, I bought the old condo that we used to live on the golf course where you love to play golf. If you want to come down here, you can live here for free. And but I was like, no, I'm not coming back to Florida ever again. And she resented me for that. And she gave to my aunt and uncle, and they gave the dog to aunt and uncle with the stipulation on the. I want to know who the fuck was in her ear when she killed that idea. Because she only changed her will and testament 2 weeks before she died. And she'd been on chemo for 6 months. So she had chemo brain. But I'm not gonna fight my mom's chemo brain. I'm not gonna sit here and bitch about what money I should, could, would have. I already have my money. I already have my existence. I just feel bad that, somebody was able to coerce her to that level of, like, for lack of another word, debauchery. You know what I mean?
I assume so. I mean, the thing is, you have to let all these things go and understand that the more you think, the more you speak, the further from the truth you get. You are the living truth of your mother. Everything, all her love, all that agape is inside of you, and you may not be agapeing yourself enough, which means you're not respecting your mother enough.
I'm looking at reindeers right now, and I'm not killing any of them.
You know what? I
They're in my field right now. I can literally have food for the next year.
I told my dad that I shot this possum.
Shows realize having a few connection.
I told my dad I shot this possum, and then he told me he shot a chipmunk in the face with a BB gun that was like eating their garden, and the chipmunk started screaming like ah ah ah.
Yeah, he told me that the other day.
I thought it was kind of crazy. I was like, isn't that funny how
It
God?
screamed, it cried. He said it cried like a human.
Yeah, 'cause what I'm saying is that God, he punishes you immediately for striking down his creation. Unless it's justified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's murder, yes.
Yeah.
But if I'm starving and my family is starving and I see a deer and I have a .22 rifle and I pop it.
Yeah. It's got to be justified.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm gonna cut it, gut it, bring it back to my family, and we're gonna eat for the next month, and my kid's gonna get strong and tall.
I agree. I mean, that's why I'm saying when I'm killing all these ants, I'm kind of just like, I can't believe like the relentless nature of these fucking ants. Like this is like this is like an armor.
God even told you you have control. You are in control over things like crawl.
So yeah, welcome everyone. It was not overly dense Tesla news week, but still a few significant things happened. One of which is Tesla launched its referral program. It allows anyone with the first 10 links to earn referral credits. If the first 10 links are used to purchase S, X, Y, and 3 models, this link will give the buyers $1,000 discount for their vehicle, and it would earn you 500 towards supercharging, Tesla merge, service payments, and in-app purchase updates. So for it to work, the buyer has to take delivery using a link, and you would also get a chance to win an attendance to the next Tesla event. If you refer 10 people, you have a $5,000 credit, which you can then use towards purchasing a new Tesla. FSD for Cybertruck is coming in September with Park Assist already shipping to customers. Xander posted a screenshot of getting an update. Tesla VP of Finance and Business Operations Cyrilla Venkataranam has announced she is leaving the company after incredible 11 years. Colorado residents now receive 5,350 point of sale credits applicable to cash and financing their vehicles. New Tesla Model 3 and Y buyers would cumulatively get $12,850 of point of sale, which includes the federal $7,500 credit. FSD 12.5.1.5 has started rolling out to Teslas with hardware 3, even though there was a lot of disbelief that it would never happen, but Tesla held up its end of the promise and starting to deliver FSD to hardware 3s, FSD 12.5 to hardware 3s. Baltimore City to spend up to $5 million to buy Tesla vehicles for use in the government fleet for government employees. Yeah, and there were some other side news. Tesla invests like $13.5 million in green technology development in Malaysia. Malaysia's Minister of Investment, Trade and Industry met with Tesla delegation on Thursday to discuss a new development. He said that the collaboration with Tesla is expected to enable Malaysia to become a major green technology hub in the region. And one cool thing that was on the timeline recently is Tesla Semi was spotted in the Europe halt by the ice truck seen in Germany, Kamen, on its way to Hanover. So they'll likely, it's unclear if it's a prototype vehicle for potential production or if it's they'll be doing some road testing or FSD testing. But it's great that it's actually now seen in Europe. From other news, from the Elon's world, SpaceX Polaris down mission, of course, is the biggest one, which is about 30 hours away. This will be an epic 5-day mission flying 3 times higher from Earth than the ISS, and first spacewalk at that distance in over the last half century. SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket will launch the Polaris down mission from Launch Complex 39A, historic complex At Kennedy Space Center in Florida, Dragon and Polaris down crew will spend up to 5 days in orbit, flying higher than any Dragon mission to date and endeavoring to reach the highest Earth orbit ever flown. The crew of Polaris down will conduct a spacewalk, support scientific research designed to advance both human health on Earth and our understanding of human health during future long-duration space flights. And the first test of Starlink, laser-based communications in space. So that's the current mission. The next mission, the second mission, will be building upon this mission with the continuation of expanding the boundaries of future human space flight, in space communication and scientific research. And of course, the third mission will be the first human spaceflight using Starship, the world's first fully reusable transportation system designed to carry both crew and cargo to Earth orbit, the Moon, Mars, and beyond. From SpaceX news, there was also a second launch tower stacked for as the newest addition to Starbase, and we'll likely see the test launch from it by the end of the year. The US Navy installed SpaceX Starlink on Abraham Lincoln's aircraft carrier, enabling high-speed internet and drastically changing the internet cost on the carrier, and of course the connection speed. And one of the bigger news from the Neuralink, we had a second patient receiving a chip, Neuralink chip, and having a full recovery, being released from the hospital on the second day. Last month, Alex, the second participant in our PRIME study, received his Neuralink. Alex was discharged the following day, and the recovery has been smooth. With the link, he has been improving his ability to play video games and began learning how to use the CAD software to design 3D objects. This marks a significant step towards providing a high-performance interface that will enhance the control of digital devices for people with quadriplegia to help restore their autonomy. From the first moment Alex connected his Neuralink to his computer, it took less than 5 minutes for him to start controlling the cursor with his mind. Within a few hours, he was able to surpass the maximum speed of accuracy he'd achieved with any other assistive technology on our WebGrid task. So the WebGrid task is anyone can use it. It's a little simulator that is on Neuralink site, and you can use mouse and see if you can beat the actual Neuralink recipient's record. Similar to Nolan, our first participant Alex broke the previous world record for brain-computer interface cursor control in day one of using the link. After the first research session concluded, Alex continued testing the capabilities of the link independently, using to play the first-person shooter games like Counter-Strike 2. Alex enjoys building things. Before his spinal cord injury, he worked as an automotive technician, fixing and tinkering with various types of vehicles and large machinery. Since then, he wanted to learn how to design 3D objects in computer-aided design, CAD software, so that he could work on projects without needing to rely extensively on support systems. However, the level of control offered by the assistive technology made it challenging. On day 2, using the link, Alex used the CAD software Fusion 360 for the first time to design a custom mount for his Neuralink charger, which was then 3D printed and integrated into his setup. We're working with Alex to increase his productivity with the link by mapping intended movements to different types of mouse clicks, left, right, middle clicks, thereby expanding the number of controls he has and enabling him to quickly switch between various modes in CAD software. With our first participant Nolan, we observed a degree of thread retraction that temporarily reduced his PCI performance. The thread has stabilized, and the performance of Nolan's link has since recovered, more than doubling the prior world record for PCI cursor control. To reduce the probability of thread retraction in our second participant, we implemented a number of mitigations, including reducing brain motion during the surgery and reducing the gap between the implant and the surface of the brain. We discussed these measures in greater detail in our life update prior to our second participant surgery. Promisingly, we have observed no thread retraction in our second participant. And of course, Elon posted that in the next few years we'll have hundreds of participants and later in the future, in not so distant future, we'll probably have millions in a decade or so. So exciting things in human-machine symbiosis world. On the X side of things, X added cool analytics tool featuring demographic breakdown by age, country, gender, and other interesting statistics. So every X user can see what their followers are, what demographics, participants, from which regions, gender, etc. Let me quickly take a look if I missed anything on the timeline. Yeah, Tesla on average receives over 16,000 job applications per day. And yeah, there's some other minor news with promotions and some education that Tesla is advertising, because that you can education program that you can go through and then land a career at Tesla. Tesla Powerwall production rate has hit all-time high record, doing more than 500 Powerwall units in a single shift. So yeah, astounding results there. Tesla Energy is definitely underrated, and it's an explosive business because everyone wants to get on board with the reusability and energy storage. Oh yeah, so for Polaris program, of course, it will feature SpaceX custom designed Evo suit, which was designed by a designer and actually looks like the future. And pretty much some other minor news out there that I think are not particularly significant. So that's about it from my side. Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal breakdown, as always. Very nice. This is like perfect podcasting material. Do you have this like written down somewhere as an article, because this is really nice?
I have some notes, yeah.
I think that what you should do is, you find, I'll have a conversation with you about this like off comms, so you can actually put out an article regarding this. And yeah, we're gonna have like the material that we provide in the show, the Tesla Weekly show. We have that written out so that people can like read this, because I believe that most of what you've given us here is actually already written out. So this is actually next level article stuff. So that would be absolutely epic and amazing if you could do that.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have like meeting notes or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's perfect. There was something that I saw on the timeline regarding Hardware 3. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but there was like some drama that I wasn't able to fully keep up with. Is there anything regarding Hardware 3 that you're aware of, and like what this drama could be? Because like some people were complaining that they were unable to have FSD, the latest version of FSD on some of their cars. This was somehow related to Hardware 3 and its simulation. So what is that? Do you have anything on that?
Yeah, so basically, like Hardware 3 models were not receiving the latest 12.5.15 version, or 12.5.1 asterisk, anything after 12.5 really. And there were some doubters that suggesting that perhaps moving forward, only Hardware 4 systems will be honored. But that's obviously not the case, because it's simply costs of development. It doesn't make sense to optimize the lower system and then port it to the higher system. It's much better to keep working on the current system and then backport the changes periodically to the old system. Otherwise, you don't have to duplicate your effort to cater to both systems at the same time. So it's just like an optimization within the development process where you keep working on the current version, current branch, and then you periodically port changes to the previous branch just to support backward compatibility. So that would be the reason why it took a little bit of a time for this change to happen. But hardware 3 is very capable, and there is lots of room to optimize on the software layer going forward. So I think we'll see hardware 3 vehicles in robotaxi fleet once it arrives and approved. It's minimum few years away for it to be cut off from the fleet, but it's not happening anytime soon.
So basically what you're saying is that there is backwards compatibility, and that's the reason why there's some delay here, and that basically being done because you have newer, potentially less stable systems integrated on more versatile compute that then can be integrated on less versatile compute. Is that what that means?
Yeah, exactly. You want to always work on the current branch and then periodically port changes into the previous branch. Otherwise, you would always be behind working on the old branch, porting forward changes to the current branch, which doesn't actually make sense because it's like duplicating the work rather than having the current system and the main branch in place as a priority.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Hang on a second, give me a minute.
Also, there was some news from Tesla Europe and Middle East. There were now over 720 superchargers across 75 locations in Spain. So that's exciting. I believe now you can pretty much drive in Spain anywhere without range anxiety. There are enough superchargers across the whole country not to worry about running out of energy. And yeah, Cybertruck of course will have FSD, and Autopark is already shipping. That would be exciting to see what it would include. I believe it's only forward parking. The reversal would probably be an additional change later on, like the reverse parking. But I would assume that the forward parking is already being shipped. I'm just checking Sawyer's page just to see if there is anything that I missed.
Event should be interesting. What about the, do we have any speculations on what will be shown at the 1010 event? Because I think that will be really big, because there was a delay for 8.8, which was supposed to be the original unveil for Robotaxi.
Yeah.
So the 1010 event is like when it was kind of, it shouldn't, I don't think it will be just, AI day or something like that, but it will be actually a product unveil in terms of the actual car itself and its design. Because that's exactly what was the factor for its delays for redesigning. So I'm not sure what the Robotaxi will physically look like, but it will be very interesting. It will feel more like an actual product unveil in terms of a car, and not just the product being
Yeah, I think it will be not just a car. It will be like a platform of cars. It will be like a pretty much cyber, like a Robotaxi platform, probably even including a van or something like autonomous larger vehicle for more seating more people, but at least it'll be a Robotaxi, of course, the small vehicle, compact vehicle. And I saw a patent that was like filed by Tesla where the front opens on impact. I don't know if that was relevant to the delay of the robotaxi, making it safer if it hits a person and then trunk opens and softens up the impact. But that could be just a coincidence. And then October is forming up to be pretty dense month for Tesla events. Of course, we have Robotaxi Unveil, we have Q3 delivery numbers, and we have also Elon's compensation package hearing. So those are 3 events that are just in a single month. Would really make it interesting for Tesla fans. Okay, I just noticed another news. The Tesla batteries make it an exception from continuous reliability obligation in Australia, which is basically help to accelerate their transition. Yeah, so it's basically like cutting red tape for Tesla's imports.
In regards to I'm not sure in regards to the van. I think that's more like I think that's largely unlikely, but I do think the robotaxi itself, just the taxi, is the thing that we're going to see. Because van, I'm not sure if that's going to come. Although van should be something that Tesla ought to consider because it's very versatile as well, especially when it comes to transport. I mean, you're already doing what is essentially, a pickup truck. It's great. So why not do a van? That should be a thing.
But I think you're right. Like in a sense, they may not want to spoil too much at once. They may have first announce the platform of the vehicle platform, and then introduce the first model to that platform, and then perhaps subsequent models could be another unveil event or something in spring or something like that.
Yeah, under promise over deliver. That is best. So I think the van speculation was just something that was put out there because I think it was Mercedes that wanted to do this. Well, at least have done this. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, we know it's a platform because, on the screenshot, there's multiple vehicles, and one looks like a van, kind of covered, and another one looks like a small, more compact besides the compact. So it actually could be, and Elon confirmed that there will be a second. There will be some other things revealed. So perhaps it could be either Roadster or. It could be anything really.
Yeah, true.
But it's good.
It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, it's good to have expectations at bay. I think you're right. Having that mindset of just having a single announcement.
Oh, look how it is! It's soaring! Oh, soaring! You're gonna go on and on and on.
That would be the prime focus of the event.
Yes, I think that's basically it. I think we've wrapped up most of the news here. Very nice. I think we covered basically the entire week within about an hour, which is really, really good. That's really great. Lots of compression here. Losslessly, of course. So
and looking forward, we of course have an event coming up on Tuesday for the next SpaceX launch for Polaris Dawn. What time are you thinking to start the space?
Well, the problem. The problem is, it is going to happen at 3:38. The launch is happening at 3:38 a.m. ET.
Oh well.
So.
Vote Trump!
So I'm not sure. We would have probably started like 2 or at least 3, but I think we'll start at 3. You know, so people have the choice to either sleep early, wake up. But yeah, it'll be 3 a.m.
Right. Okay, makes sense. So you'll create an event pre-schedule or?
I think I shall do so. Yes. Yeah, I'll do that right after, and we'll pin this as the event that'll happen on Tuesday. And also in an hour from now, we got the conversation, so make sure to tune into that. It's our great formats. It's what we do.
Perfect.
Yeah. So.
Great.
Sure, you're fine.
Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you on in an hour.
Yep, indeed. Is there anything else that we want to break down? Or is that, I think it, perhaps we have like some questions that we may want to get to. We'll check your comments real quick.
This is Elon Live. Yeah, listening to Elon is better than listening to David Bobadilla any day of the week. Same with you, Jigaboo. Same with you, Rabbi. Why would I want to listen to you guys when I can listen to a billionaire talk? I mean, Monsignor barely talks. At least he's got that going for him. And Angela, ugh. I would love to fuck her. I would love to look at dirty pictures of her. But I would listen to Elon any day of the week over Angela's stupid box water business. Fucking stole all the money out of the Afghanistan treasury and moved to Newport Beach. I mean, she's a thief.
Interesting question. I'm coming across a lot of FUD besides sharing correct information. How else can we combat FUD? Well, ironically, this is the best piece of advice that I can give to anyone and everyone. And I would highly recommend that this advice be heeded. Unless the context of the FUD is really, like say for instance, there is a shit ton of shorts on the stock, or there are lawsuits, the best thing to do with just completely made up bullshit is to just ignore it. Like the people who are spreading this are doing nothing more than rage baiting, which is that they just intentionally spread false information so you interact with it. Whenever you see any negative sentiment of any kind, I see this about anything, I look away, because it's like it's bullshit, right? If somebody is able to structure a logical argument that is obviously, factual, backs up with all kinds of good evidence, then you can kind of look at that, try to verify if it's true. But anything that's just basically opinionated nonsense, and it's the same talking point that has always failed previously is, of course, false, then it's best to just ignore those types of people. Ideally, even block them. Like that's, I aspire to have to be a person with few blocks, or at least blocking very few people. But at some point, there is a time where this is no longer sustainable. You can't listen to all the noise, so you have to block it out, literally. So, best piece of advice?
It's block! Block them! Block them!
That's all they're doing.
Block them!
Trying to gain attention, and there are various ways by which people are doing this and have done this in the past. Like
You might be talking about me impersonating
on
him.
YouTube and spread nonsense on YouTube, talk endless amounts of shit, so that people who are angry would just roast them in the comment section, and that's what gets them distributed in the algorithm. So people like to hate on things. That's the main issue as well. And there are various different people who do this, like this one guy who writes articles for Electrico, which is a magazine of no worth to me personally because of all the bullshit that they've posted thus far. This person keeps talking about being in the Tesla community, even though he definitely is not. He talks about what else does he do? He does a lot of nonsense. He has a problem with Elon and expresses this issue by trying to take certain aspects of reality and twisting them in a way that makes Elon look bad somehow. It's like, it tries to make him responsible for types of failures, even though those types of failures have nothing to do with him. Tries to make him look as if he's just a political figure, as if it doesn't build much of anything. tries to paint the vision of the company as if it could, you know, sustain its current trajectory of improvement without Elon, which is not true. That is not possible. You can see an example of this is Apple. The rate of innovation has drastically slowed, you know, ever since the death of Steve Jobs. So that is an example, you know. And of course, you know, the reason why there is a subtle rate of innovation and why there's still products being released while the company still has high quality is because you have Tim Cook. You know, Tim Cook is amazing. He's amazing at making sure that all trains run on time, and yeah.
Steve,
So this
Tim Cook is Mussolini.
Apple almost went bankrupt because they didn't have Tim Cook. The reason why everything worked is because he had the crazy innovation-based mind, just Steve Jobs, and he had Tim Cook balancing him out. That's great. So it's something like that, except that Elon is both Steve Jobs and Tim Cook rolled up as one person. So that's why that works.
That's why this is why I'm recording this guy, because I think he's delusional.
Successful at
He doesn't know about Clubhouse and basically the dopamine feedback loop. He's getting high and he's ruining his credibility. He's making himself out. He's neurotic.
Because there still is a lot that remains to be done.
He's gonna ruin the company by coming on X Spaces and outing himself for being an idiot.
Yeah, like I said, it's all nonsense. It's all bullshit.
Maybe
It's
not.
fun. Block it.
Block it.
Finish.
Fuck it. Block
Your
it.
life will greatly improve, and your understanding of the world with it.
That means you, Jigaboo. I'm blocking you. And Monsignor, I'm blocking you. Angela, I'm blocking all of you out of my life. I don't want you in my life anymore. All your Jew hate and trolling, it's just not professional anymore. You're running for Congress.
Last question. Are there any updates on Tesla Semi, and particularly a semi-charging network?
Great
Do we
question.
have anything on that?
Yeah, I saw there were some like chargers being installed across US, but I haven't and of course the Nevada factory is standing up slowly. They already did the foundation, and there's some foundation is being finished. So
This is the idiots that he employs. These people work for him, and they're morons.
As for chargers, they're slowly building out the infrastructure.
I mean, they're engineers, they're not stupid, but they don't speak English.
But other than that, it's going forward.
Excellent, excellent.
Also, I have to answer the question. Let's see if there are more. But Adrian sounds like Elon Musk. Yeah, I know.
It's because he is Elon Musk.
Any rocket technology in the robotaxis? Unlikely. There will be rocket technology in the Roadster, though. SpaceX package, cold gas thrusters. Jesus fucking Christ, that's gonna be insane. Yeah, it's gonna have like a. It's gonna. I'm not even sure how you could make it safe. You know, there has to be like some sort of potentially training involved, I guess, because you have to make sure that your head is firmly planted into the headrest, and you need to keep the wheel itself, the steering wheel, you need to keep it absolutely straight. Because when you speed up a car and you don't keep the steering wheel straight, you end up seeing what you probably have seen in a lot of internet videos where people are drag racing, and then what happens is they somehow lose control. Well, largely that is because they don't keep the wheel straight. Of course, the tires themselves start giving. But in reality, mostly it's also about the wheels themselves. Like people just straight up crash right as they start speeding. It's like you're not keeping the wheels straight. And the same thing with plaid. When you like go in plaid mode for the first time and you like full throttle you like go pedal to the metal. That the acceleration is so fast, it's insane. So any small mistakes that you make can have disastrous effects. So I'd imagine there has to be some sort of guidance, or at least internally some sort of software that keeps the steering absolutely straight. Because if not, then you'll have issues there. I'm not sure how many G's you will be pulling because your body must be able to somehow sustain that. Depends, of course, because you're gonna feel your insides. The acceleration, you're literally gonna feel yourself. So I don't know. It's gonna be crazy to go gas thrusters on the roadster, but that's not even gonna be the nuttiest thing. Somehow there's something bigger about it that's supposed to be even more exciting. But what exactly that is has not been revealed yet. Could be that the car can float, I guess, but I don't know if that would happen if my car was. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what that looks like. So that's far. No details on rocket technology.
If you talk to that little T-Robs, that little leprechaun from Northern Ireland, tell that little bitch I want me 150 fucking gold shekels out of his pot of gold, of Jew hate. I proved it to you all today, live, right now. You're listening to Elon speak live from Adrian Dittman, bringing you the truth of the earth. And that T-Robs owes me 150 fucking shekels of his gold Jew hate coin. His leprechaun coin.
That's about it. Not seeing anything else.
Elon is signing off. He's gonna ruin.
Just see if there are a few more comments.
The guy's a drug addict. He loves to talk. He loves his own voice. He loves the voice, the sound of his own voice.
An answer for this: will there ever be an option to mirror your phone display on the top of the display? Yeah, that would be great, but I just don't know what that would entail. So.
See, motherfucker's Elon. Proved it.
Yeah, because we're so attached to our phones. I mean, I guess it could be useful, but it's like actually defeats. Well, there were some conversations about the purpose of the display in the robot taxi, and it almost didn't make sense because it was so close to our phones, and having it projected on the display may not always make sense. But for some, I guess, infotainment practicalities, it could make sense.
Yeah. The only thing is, I don't quite understand the concept of having a big screen anymore, because the phone's resolution is good enough for you to. I think even to a certain extent. I've been to movie cinema recently, and honestly, I much enjoyed the experience of viewing like any kind of content, at least unless you're with a crowd, of course, viewing any kind of content, not just the phone screen. Right? It was like actually more immersive because you're using the phone the whole time, anyways. Like you're scrolling, you're not even aware of your surroundings. So I'm not sure if that would actually improve infotainment. I think it actually could take away because, are you really gonna like watch a movie in the entire car? The display would be facing, either on one side. You have like glare on it as well. That's gonna be an issue. So, yeah, I don't really see that. It's good for controls. It's great for controls, but entertainment-wise, yeah, sure. If the car's parked, yeah, like view something on the big screen, that'd be great. But beyond that. Let's see. What else do we have? Will the Cybercat beat stainless? I don't know. I think it will just look like a normal Tesla car. It will look cool, but fairly normal looking, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I think it may be stainless just because it'll take so much beating. Like being a taxi, you probably want to minimize like internal damage repairs.
No paint. Well, paint could reduce the cost for sure, but who knows? like an actual cyber cab.
Yeah, exactly, Cybercab. That's the vehicle, right?
Bulletproof, yeah. How many people can say that this taxi over here, the one that you're driving in, it's actually bulletproof. Yeah, fit for a gangster. Al Capone would have loved. Al Capone would have loved today's car. Al Capone would have loved today's cars and hated today's politics. For sure.
Elon Musk relates himself to Alfonso Capone. Mr. Capone.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think we could wrap it here. Nothing more is occurring. Don't say more questions await. Will we ever integrate Grok into a Tesla's GPS and entertainment assistant? What they will do, it's not me, but I know for a fact that Grok will be in your Tesla at some point. It'll just be there along with the X app. So X will be in the Tesla, and then of course, since Grok is integrated to X, you'd be able to have access to Grok that way. As for navigation-wise, not really sure, although I could assume that it could help you out with navigation if it at some point, has the ability to find a restaurant for you. So that'd be great. Say, okay, what's my current location? What restaurants are nearest to me that fit my preferences? Like I'm feeling this way or that way, and then it takes this place. What kind of budget do I have? Gets there. We want to be at least shows the address of that place. As for entertainment, I mean, you talk to it, I suppose. That's what generates images. Memes. So I'd say that's the extent to which Grok will have navigation or navigation and entertainment. I'd assume that would be the case based on its current capabilities and capabilities that it may have in the future. One of which, by the way, also being vision. They're going to have vision as well. Grok's going to have vision. This is not out yet. It won't be out for quite a while, but that's coming. Vision is coming. So, yeah. Image recognition. I would assume that the image recognition is probably going to be either by the end of this year or at Q2 of next, I'd imagine. Something along those lines. If you look at the current rate of development and how Grok came out, Grok 2, I think our assessment, what was our prediction that we had? I think our prediction was roughly about, close to the end of the year or next. And I think we kind of hit that well, sort of, but they really were able to push it back in terms of how much time it took, because I assumed it would at least take a few more months. So they rolled out Grok 2 at, I think, a really great pace. So it could be that we get vision either by the end of the year or by Q2 of next. I'd assume it could be Q2 of next. Who knows? Or one. Depends on the optimism. Right, sorry, over the 8th, so the end of the year. Close to the end of the year, speculation was kind of dead on. Yeah. Right now, if you look at the interface, and you can kind of predict where Grok will go. You already have tasks that it can do. You have info that it can display. You have, the only thing that's missing is just the ability to upload files. And once you have that, everything else is self-explanatory. You can do everything. Well, most everything. What matters now is how reliable that is. Will FSD stay at version 12 or go to version 13 sometime? I think at some time in the future it might be like a final version, but it would take a while to get there, I'd assume. What do you think, Will?
Yeah, hard to say. It's internal. Like usually semantic versioning is like you have a bump for updates, like a subversion, then the minor version is for features and the main version is for like new release, which is typically drastically different. So hard to say if, like, because Elon mentioned a number of times that 12.5 is kind of 13. But who knows if they decide to rebrand it and just go, full on. They may even skip 13, like Apple did, or Windows, I remember, did as well, because 13 may not be, well, probably not, but they may. Yeah, hard to say at this point. Depends on the internal development team.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, Benjamin was like it. Benjamin was just saying Grok needs access to the internal VLEX API for reading account info, finding social graph connections, etc. Seems very doable. Yeah, I'd largely agree with that, but that requires look, the statistics for demographics already there, so that's kind of cool. You could potentially think that you can see this right now, actually. So, maybe that would be out there, but I think that would have something to do with user data, but we'll see. We'll see how transparent they want to be with that. Because, yeah. Actually, now that you mention this, with API access, okay, for example, let me click OK here. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this would be something. Like this. Yeah, something like that would be great. For analysis. Yeah. A lot of people, it's very basic in its access right now. It basically has access to the same stuff that you as a user have access to in the context of other users. So you can see whatever their information is from their profile and whatnot. And that's basically it. It has limitations as to what it can display. This also goes back to this thing that I keep seeing on the timeline where people are prompting Grok with all manner of things and are now saying, oh, I can see what labels have been assigned to my account and how I'm being censored. It's like, first of all, Grok is not able to do that. It does not have that kind of access. There's no fucking way that that's possible. Giving this thing that kind of access and having the ability for users to prompt it to then grant you information in the context of that access is the most surefire way of having platform manipulation be spread rapidly, which is the exact reason why that is definitely not the case. Even with YouTube, nobody really knows how the algorithm, quote unquote, works. Even some of the people at YouTube don't. They just know that it does, right? That's really all that needs to be known. Because if more is known, then things will be broken, people will manipulate beyond what they're already doing. We have these many different linked in thread types of people. You ever see these annoying slop threads where it's like everybody's just repeating what somebody else has already said? It's a huge thread of something. That just looks very LinkedIn-like, right? So you have issues like this. This is going to be fixed soon. This is what Elon says anyways. And this kind of stuff would be more prevalent in different ways that you wouldn't initially anticipate because you would be able to understand how to manipulate the platform itself. So Grok does not have access to any of those things. So for instance, you can see this in the prompt itself, and I'll give you a very, very decent argument right there. So if you ever see this bullshit on timeline, you already know it's false. So let me explain to you what it is. So it's a prompt that basically asks, okay, so what they do is they go to the GitHub where the recommendation algorithm is open source, and they take they copy a section of the code that deals with assigning labels and reputation score values to your account, right? What these things are is just labels are for moderation, and reputation scores kind of are on the same level as moderation, but they're mainly there to kind of help the algorithm sort you and your content, because that's how things should be, right? Because if you have a niche specific account and speak about a certain thing, it is good that you are addressing this niche, and that's how it should be. And if you're say a consumer looking for a particular niche of content, then you of course should be able to find everything with this, within that niche, right? Because that's what you yourself are looking for. That's what needs to be sorted for. So that's what that does. And so what they do is they prompt Grok and they ask, hey, can you tell me what labels and then insert handle whatever the account is this account has, and then they just paste the sort. They just basically paste the recommendation code into that, and then what Grok does is it hallucinates your answer. It gives you an explanation for what every single one of those values mean, the labels and the reputation score metrics. And then what it does is it assigns, and this is why people think it's real, it assigns random numbers to the reputation score. Because technically speaking, if the reputation score is applied, which of course it is for every single account on the platform in various different ways, what happens is there's a number, right? And then if you look at the actual code itself, there isn't one. Because, well, it's not assigned to anything now, it's just a code. It just tells you what there is, but it just gets implemented, right? So you can actually see the score. The problem is, it just randomly generates the score. For instance, I ran the same test on my account, and the reputation score was different every single time I reran the prompt. So it arbitrarily chose what those values are. I even then asked the machine itself, hey, can you tell me how exactly you came up with the values? And it just said, oh, I arbitrarily chose those values so that the explanation could be granted more effectively. I'm like, the fuck? So there you go. If ever you see these weird like posts about recommendation algorithm stuff on your timeline, it is written by people who are absolutely brain dead. I'm just saying, because that is the most bullshit thing ever. Like, imagine not understanding enough about sorting algorithms to understand that this is totally normal, and at the same time not understanding anything about AI, which ironically kind of fits very well into this niche, that you basically then take a hallucination as absolute fact, without ever having even the slightest inkling to question what the output is. I mean, people really ought to fucking think for themselves. Jesus Christ. You know, they believe like anything that's written. So, just a little FYI, I know that we're talking about algorithm-based stuff because Ben brought it up, so yeah, I thought I'd mention this as well. Totally false. All bullshit. Nothing is true to that. But I think that's it. I think we can kind of like call it here. There's not much else that I'm seeing. We kind of answered all the questions, including ones that were kind of implied as opposed to actually, you know, kind of over-explaining. But yeah, great show. Absolutely epic. We'll see you in 30 minutes. A show called The Conversation. So, yeah, we'll be there. Thanks, everyone. Oh, and don't forget to join us again next week, same time, same place, for Tesla Weekly, where we summarize everything that happened in Tesla and all of Elon's company.
So it's a question fundamental. Do you define yourself as a victim of the world or as the world? You can define yourself. You see, if you identify you with what you call the voluntary system of the nerves, and say, only that's me, and that's really a rather limited amount of my total performance, what I do
You have the
voluntarily.
NSFW here, of
Then you
course,
can-
you know, like, that's like, there's still something covering the person. I'm sorry, that's like straight up porn at this point, and it gets there. OnlyFans promotion, all this fucking bullshit, all this stuff that's really, really bad for humanity. And of course, the CSAM material. That's when I decided, fuck this, I'm out, I'm done. Can't take this app anymore. The amount of harm, psychological harm that's been created by that app is something that needs to be studied. As a matter of fact, that needs to be studied. And that needs to be brought out to the surface, and needs to be brought out for everyone to fucking see. Because that is insane. And it's still an issue that is woefully underplayed. You know? And then we have an issue, like with Pavel. You know? It's kind of ironic. The reason why he has a French, you know, citizenship actually really took on, when he took that on, is because largely everyone in the West was supportive of him. Yeah, because they refused Russia's, you know, probe into their data. Said, no, we're not doing it. And now all of a sudden, when they heard that they're doing the same, they said, hey, we want to probe into Russia's data. They say, no, and then this happens. So now, for, you know, issues that he's not really responsible for, he's now being arrested, right? I think every single app has an issue of scammers being on it, and of course, you know, child exploitative material, you know, being displayed on it. Every single app has this problem. Literally every single one of them. The thing is, of course, you know, you can make an argument and say, you know, this issue has not been dealt with adequately. That is an argument that you can make. But you have to, like, compare that to something. What is the standard? The international standard for them is being followed. What about Facebook, though? Are they following the international standard? Is that standard good enough? Because clearly it doesn't seem to be the case in the case of Facebook. So if something against Facebook is worse, but you don't see Zuckerberg getting arrested because he fucking sells data to anybody. I mean, you know, that's how the Trump campaign was able to target so well. You know, Trump bought that data. How ironic is that? That's kind of funny. I think that's hilarious, personally. It's great. But yeah, it's like a broken economy out there. It's crazy. Broken economy. Actually, I don't even know what the economy is anymore. I think it's like largely dead. It's like something on life support. I don't think the economy is real anymore. Really. Like after 2008, I think we were like keeping something, like a recession, from happening, even though it should have happened a long time ago. And like, I hate financial struggles. I really don't. This is the thing that people don't understand. Some people just like talk about this and they laugh about this because they just kind of see this as a far distant thing and they just say it because it's cool to say. You know, it's like, I think of the Roman Empire because everybody else thinks of the Roman Empire, but nobody considers the actual depths as to why some people do and why some of the more philosophical people that you now follow, you know, think about the Roman Empire sometimes. You know, they don't consider what the deeper context is. They just think about it and talk about it because it's cool. Yeah, it's cool to talk about at the time. And then they will discard it for something else. Okay, there's a new word out. Fucking demure. Now everything's demure. I'm like, what? You know, shit like that. It's a constant thing to discard. And same thing with the financial crisis. You know, everybody talks about the recession. Everybody thinks, oh yeah, the recession is coming. I'm like, cool, so are you going to talk about what to potentially do if that happens? Are we going to look for the next Radio Shack? Do you even know what that means? Do you even know what caused 2008? Are you able to explain that to me in less than 30 seconds? Things like that. You know? Why is the economy dead? Why is everything going to shit? What is the real issue here? You know? It's like, oh, it's inflation. Why is inflation? You know? So much great stuff that nobody talks about leading into this, but yeah, it's crazy. Broken economies on all fronts, and there will always be a shop open to take advantage of the situation, much like today, much like with people such as, you know, Andrew Tate. You're like on the censorship dynamic. You know, this person of course got censored because he said things that were not in line with the narrative, and this is actually, I think, what made him wildly popular as well, because he just couldn't censor this guy. So like went to Rumble, made it next level big there. And Rumble is a great platform. I think it's amazing for live streaming. It's like the better version of Twitch. of course, also has standards, which I think is good. Like there are certain standards that you must have. Like, I made a post saying, like misaligned information moderation is just basically censorship. And what I mean with this is that, not all information ought to be removed. Some information ought to stay. So, make of that what you want. It's the same thing. I have like a large need to understand what's happening there. Especially in the case of something like Rumble, or what they're doing. They're doing well. So that they won that too. And that this whole situation is resolved because this sets a precedent for everyone. Even all of you. Even me. Because information moderation extends to everyone. Especially when it comes to the management of an entire platform. Like, whatever affects these platforms, whatever affects their operators, will affect all of us here. Doesn't matter how big you are, doesn't matter how small you are. We'll all be affected. I'd even say that those who are smaller will be affected more, because when you go after something that's small, there's not much of a stink made, But those are great examples. If you go after someone that's small, it's a great example, because that is something that you relate with. You don't necessarily relate with someone who's big, but you will relate with someone who's small. That's why this thing where people got arrested for posts hits so close to home and it's so graphic for so many people, because that's literally just an average Joe. Just fucking less than 100 follower accounts. Really, super small. Gone like that. Some random dude going in front of a mosque somewhere waves the flag. The flag of the United Kingdom, the Union Jack, just waving it there, gets arrested. Crazy, That's where we live in. I have no idea what to say about the current generation or where things are gonna go, but holy shit, man, we are not having it good. I always hear people say, oh, there's always been struggles, there's always been that, always been that. Yeah, sure, World War II. But has it ever affected everyone to this extent? Everywhere around the world, there's a sentiment shift. Everywhere. Everything's affected. It's crazy. In the past 30 years, there have been more financial crisis incidents than at any other interval in history leading up to this. It's crazy. I used to read a lot of history books about finance specifically because I want to understand what the world is made out of. Right? The world is made out of money, people controlling it, the information behind it, how that controls everything. It's just simply the way the world works. The world is based on self-devaluing promise. It's also the reason for its instability. And oh my god, you read about this stuff, you say, wow, this is crazy that this has happened in history. Oh, here's a recent one, it's 2008. Fuck, that's crazy, man. Well, I think we learned our lesson, that's not gonna happen again. Psych! Look at everything now, holy shit. How much has happened since 2008? Oh my god. Just on that front alone. Oh, hey, probably you're never gonna live under a dictatorship. COVID-19. Oh god. Imagine all the young people that were born in the early 2000s, or at least just on the cusp of the early 2000s. Can you imagine that? Wow. You've seen the last fragments of a golden age die. That's what you've seen. when we were like super, super young. And now you're just like living into what remains. And that's crazy, you know? At no point in history has anything been anywhere close to something like what we're in right now. This is like, what about mobile phones? This hasn't been a thing. This is a very recent phenomenon. The iPhone, which set the standard for a lot of mobile devices, hasn't even been out that long. It's within our own lifetimes that this technology has been developed and is everywhere now. Your fucking light switch is connected to the internet. What the fuck? Like, that's crazy. And this is the world that we live in. It's like, this is, an age like this has never existed before. It's completely outside of any historical precedent. It's just completely crazy. It's like a new thing entirely. Now, how the fuck are you gonna deal with that? You know? And you know, hundreds of years ago, there was a guarantee that certain skills would always be needed. That things were going to be a type of way. There's some instability for sure. There was no part in history where that wasn't the case. You know, look at the Dark Ages, holy shit. Let's not forget that that was also an exceptionally bad time in human history. Holy fuck, man. It's crazy. I wouldn't want to live there. They've had it bad, man. Arguably worse than we have it now. It's crazy. But you look at, you know, today, and say, okay, what kind of skills will be needed? The farmer is no longer as relevant as they used to be, even though their relevance is underrated. The relevance is still high. Even though automation at D-scale, which is D-scale part mixed with automation, doesn't work well, because with automation comes added scale, not reduced scale. That's an issue with farming. But also, some jobs are just fading away. You like literally have some of the most richest people in the world telling you that the way you see any job will just disappear. You won't have any work. The fuck do you do then? You know, what does a world like that look like? You have no job security. You have to be like the most exceptional of the exceptional, because if you're not exceptional, you're fucked. You have nothing. Oh, but wait a minute. Where does that slogan go? You have nothing but you're happy. That's the world we're living into right now. Has that existed in history? I don't know, man. Has everything been known like this? I mean, look at this. You have weird accidental instances like myself being able to communicate to hundreds of people live. There are 400 people in this space total connected to each other. Holy shit, do you have any idea how many people that is? You know, think about it in terms of a gathering. You have like 100 people. Okay, that's pretty impressive. 4x that shit, you got a stadium. Or something close to it. Anyways. The amount of connectivity that this is incredible. And someone like myself is exceptional to a certain extent, I guess. But, you know, at the same time, something like this would not be possible in the past. It is possible now. What does this mean? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know what this means. I don't know what this does. This is a good thing, is this a bad thing? I mean, you can decide on what you do with this. You can decide on what you tell people. I can decide on what to tell you guys. And what I'm telling you is just what's in my head. You know, I guess this is very interesting. That's why a lot of people are here. You know, I assume that that's the reason why I showed up today. But at the same time, you look at, you know, history. If I would have stood there at the center of a town square, would you also still arrive? That is an interesting question. Perhaps I would. Would the older generation disapprove of my being because I'm a younger person, and I'm speaking of things that I could not have possibly experienced myself? Or has experience itself, in terms of how that information is like transmitted and executed upon, has it like changed over time? Because I kind of feel like it has. Because Because, not everything needs to be lived in order to be understood. I don't think I need to live through slavery in order to understand that that's bad, for instance, right? I don't think anyone should go through slavery, but they definitely know it's bad, because the concept of which, tells you a lot about what it is. Do I want to live through tyranny? Of course not, because we know historically what happens when you do. I think death is a very relatable thing. You've not experienced it. None of us have. You have potentially seen it. You've seen it in someone else. You've seen it through many clips of war that we're seeing now for the first time. Full HD, man. Seeing like full HD gang violence, fuck.